I think the main reason why I wanted to coach baseball at the 15U level, it's a lot easier to get in a position of working for a nonprofit, Tri-City Lightning organization. The reason though that I want to coach in that setting is because of my dad. My dad coached me all the way up from when I was started novice hockey and t-ball when I was like 4, and I always thought he was a good coach, a decent coach, and a fair coach. He was awfully critical, but you learned a lot, and I think a lot of people can agree with that. It really pushed me to understand that coaching is a really beneficial and rewarding career track, or even hobby if that's what you like to do as a hobby. But at the same time, it takes a lot of work, and not everyone can do it. And I learned that also by having other coaches through the years who necessarily couldn't do it. And I see that, and I see that their players aren't benefiting from what they could have if they had a good coach. So that's always been my inspiration and driving factor to coaching kids. And my coaching style is pretty reflective of my personality. It's very blunt and honest, and it's upfront. And if you're not okay with that and you can't take, constructive criticism, then you're not really going to like me as a player. And I understand that. Not everyone on my team liked me, and I could tell, and I knew that. And, I got emails saying that they didn't really like it. And I just told them, well, this is how I coach, and I understand, you're not okay with it, but this is how I see the season unfolding. My goal as the coach is to make sure that all my players are treated fairly, well, and we're winning. At the end of the day, that's a big part of it. I know it's, we're supposed to be having fun, but at the same time, I'm coaching a 15U travel ball team. These parents are paying for their kids to get better in the sport, learn about the sport, progress, and win, and have fun. And it's really hard to, encompass all of those features, but I do my best trying to do that. My coaching style is pretty different. I'm really big, especially in baseball, into the numbers side of baseball. I can evaluate a player and I can look at them and tell and know, what they should be doing. Like a good example, I can give you an example this year is when we first started coaching, we had this one kid who told me, he played third base with that. But after watching him, it took me like a game or two and a couple practices. I said, he's a second baseman. So he doesn't have the arm to play at third base. You can tell that. He can barely throw across the diamond, but he can stop a grounder. So let's put him at second base. And he worked out really well at second base. I understand that aspect, but at the same time, I like to combine that with the numbers because I've done many research papers and research projects on delving into the numbers and statistics behind baseball, which was introduced by Bill James in the late 70s. I used those numbers. We kept stats and averages throughout the year. I used those numbers to build the lineups that I would do day in and day out, the batting lineups. So in a sense, my approach isn't traditional, because when you think of baseball, there's a traditional approach, and then there's this new age of sabermetrics and using just the numbers. And I would like to say that I fall somewhere in between, because I don't like to just use the numbers, because I think you can't boil a person down to numbers. Each person's different and unique, and you can't have a number for a person's confidence or how they're going to play on a given day. Basically, you need to start in a one hole with a player who can get on base. He needs to be essentially the third or fourth highest on base percentage on your team, and he needs to be fast. The reason why he needs to be fast is not to steal bases, but when your 2 and 3 hitter gets up, if they hit a ball in the gap, he needs to be able to get from first to home, no problem, to score, because your 2 and 3 hitters should be able to hit in the gap and hit a double up the middle or whatever you want to say. Then your 2-hole guy needs to be your best hitter on the team. If he's not, then you're doing it wrong. My only argument to that would be is if you look at the Detroit Tigers, their best hitter's in the 3-hole because it's Miguel Cabrera. Again, 2-hole, similarly to the first spot in your lineup, needs to be a very quick player. So that way, if your 2-hole gets a single, he can still score on that double in the gap from your 3-hole. But your 3-hole hitter should be your RBI machine, which means that he's getting on base, but then his slugging percentage needs to be up there too, which means that he's hitting extra base hits like no tomorrow. So when your 1-2 get on, you can count on your 3 to either get on base or hit the ball. Your 4 hitter needs to be your next highest slugging percentage and on base percentage after that. So essentially your 4 hitter should be your 4th best hitter and your 2nd best power hitter. And from there, you actually want to put your next best hitter in the 9-hole, in my opinion. And that 9 hitter also needs to be someone who's quick, again, to give you another leadoff hit. And then from there, you can put 5, 6. You can drop in your next 2 best hitters. I normally go off of on-base percentage because you want guys to get on base. And then you drop your 2nd to worst hitter in the 8-hole, and you want your worst hitter in the 7-hole to break up your lineup. Coaching the team over the summer was a lot of fun. There were a lot of ups and downs. We didn't win every game, obviously. You can't expect to go out there and win every game. But I think we had a lot of fun as a whole, and I saw that through the players, and I hope that they had a lot of fun too, because I had a lot of fun working with them. Just on a day-to-day basis, like in games, practices were always fun. They would always have a good time, big smiles on their faces, and they always liked to kid with me. My favorite memories, though, are working one-on-one with my pitchers, specifically in games. Like, when we be in a tight situation, a couple guys on, and it looks like they're struggling a little bit. You call a mound visit and go out and talk to them. Well, when I call a mound visit and I walk out and talk to them, my pitchers know what they're gonna get. I go out there and I ask them a question that has absolutely nothing to do with baseball. My favorite question was, "What did you eat for breakfast?" Then the kid would get a little smile on his face, and he'd think, well, I don't even know what I ate for breakfast. I'm like, "No, seriously, what did you eat for breakfast?" And then he'd sit there and go, "I don't know, I think I had cereal." And I was like, "That's good." I was like, "Now get this kid out." And he'd be laughing. And more times than not, that calmed the nerves. He settled down. I didn't need to go out there and talk to baseball because he's not dumb. They're in high school. They know what to do. They know when they're not pitching well. They know all that. They just need someone out there, that's pushing them in the right direction and calming them down.